This conference will now be recorded.
All right, hello and welcome to Oceanside Library's online program. I'd now like to introduce our instructor tonight for our watercoloring class for Southwest Sunset for our summer reading program, Amy Vail. Thank you, Amy. Take it away.
Hi, Saguaro. Thank you. So, hi, everybody. Welcome tonight. I'm glad you could join me. And so, I'm art teacher Amy, and I have been to the Oceanside Library before. You might have painted some cardinals with me, and I know we did something else, didn't we? So, tonight we are going to do a Southwest landscape. This is particularly Arizona, and we have a sunset in our distance with mountains and cactus. So I did a little research on some of these cactuses, cacti actually as they're called, and so let's see. So I have Dorothy here. Hi, Dorothy, and whoever else is joining us by video. I hope you enjoy our class tonight. So I always like to start with a little quiz so I can learn about what we're drawing. So I looked up the cactuses that are in Arizona, and I'm probably not going to say this right, but the Saguaro, it looks like Saguaro, but I'm guessing they say Saguaro, something close to that. So very interesting, these cactuses, and I'll bring this closer because I know it's too far. It's this, I don't know, it looks like saguaro, the saguaro cactus, or cacti. Um, Very interesting about these cacti. Um, I can't believe this. When I was reading about these, they actually, can you believe they only grow an inch a year? An inch a year. I'm like, that's like gonna take a really long time to get tall. So I did a little fact finding here. And my first question about these saguaro, so I'm gonna say it wrong, the saguaro cactus. Do you think it's actually illegal to cut one down? So is it illegal to cut one? Let me break this up here. Illegal to cut one down. So do we say yes or no? Cut one down. And what does everybody think? Yes, you're right. Yes, it's actually illegal to cut one down. I was really surprised to hear that. Um, so the other thing here, yeah, so it's actually a crime. If you have a saguaro cactus on your property, cutting it down is a crime. If you are found to have cut or removed a saguaro cactus from your property, you can actually face a felony criminal damage charge. Wow, very interesting. Okay, so how old do you think the oldest cactus, the saguaro cactus, is in Arizona? So, hi, Lindsay, welcome. Um, so this is just for fun, just because I like to learn about what we're drawing today. And I know you all have been reading books going across the United States. So we're in Arizona tonight. So number two, is the oldest one? How old is the oldest saguaro cactus? Saguaro.
Is it over 50 years?
Whoa, that was a funny sound. Okay, so do you think it's 100 years old, 200, or 300 years old? Years old. What do you think, everybody? Want to take a guess? One, two. So, okay. So our votes here. We have 1 and 1. All right. You know what? It's actually 200 years old. Wow, that's that's amazing because at an inch a year. Wow, it even says how many, yeah, so 200 years old. So it is actually the largest known living saguaro in the United States is in Maricopa County, Arizona, measuring 45.3 feet with an estimated age of 200 years, and it actually survived a damage in the 2005 Cave Creek Complex fire. Wow, 200 years old. So just two more quick things about Arizona. This is actually the the area where saguaro cactuses are. So that's here's our state of Arizona. So the green is where the saguaros are, and then they go down into Mexico. But that's the only place. Oh, actually, I've heard a little bit of California has them also. And just to find out about some of the other cactuses, so here's our saguaro cactus, and this is, I believe, there's a barrel cactus and the prickly pear. So we're actually going to put a prickly pear in our picture today, which looks like this one. So I have a whole bunch of pictures up on my board here. I'll show you a whole bunch of ideas just so you can decide what colors you want to use tonight. So this one actually has our prickly pears here. So we're going to need some light greens, yellow, and if you want to make your mountains blues with purples, that's what I'm going to do. You will need a couple of browns. So if you have a light brown, dark brown, and then the sky can either be maybe a light blue or you can do a sunset. So I'm going to actually be doing this one. So this is my sample, and this is watercolor. So here's all the colors you're going to need if you want to follow along. I'm going to do this particular one. So we've got our blue and purple mountains. I've got kind of this grayish brown on the cacti. Here's our prickly pears. These have light green and dark green, and you could do a little bit of like a pinkish or purple on the flowers for them. And then your sky, I'll show you how to make kind of like this sunset sky that's in the distance. This one has, I just did red, orange, and yellow, but basically just painted it so it looked like the sun was going down, which, as we know, Arizona is known for its beautiful sunsets. Wow, has anybody actually ever been to Arizona? Yeah? Oh, nice. Me too. I've actually been over to Sedona and Phoenix. Very nice. No?
I've been to
Getting reverberation on that. But that's cool. So at least you've been out there and seen it and seen the desert and I remember the cactuses and all the beautiful red rocks. Oh, so this one, I'll show you this one, and then I'll actually won't talk too much more so we can get painting because this will take a bit. But this one was really pretty. I got all these images off of Google, so if you want to continue, if you're not able to finish tonight or if you're watching the video and you want to keep going and you like some of these images I have behind me, this one is from Google Images. And so we've got our prickly pear cactus, these beautiful red rocks that we know about. And I heard through that you're doing your book club, the summer reading, and you've been to Tennessee. Now you're heading to the Grand Canyon, which I've also seen, which actually this reminds me of that with those beautiful rocks that go down into a canyon. So there's a lot of images online if you want to keep going with something. Like this one I showed you before, this is online. I'm sorry, I forgot the artist, but what I put in Arizona landscape with sunset, I think, and you'll just find a whole bunch of Google images. And then I just put a few up here of some of the pueblos that are out there. So this is actually, I believe this is the Taos Pueblo, which I have also actually been lucky enough to get to. So, okay, so for tonight, the supplies real quick that you need are, if you're painting with us, you will need a good paper. I love this watercolor paper. It's Canson XL watercolor, and it's on a super deal on Amazon. Yay, Dorothy has some. So if you don't have this particular pad, that's okay. There are a bunch of others you could get. But this one is just a really nice heavy watercolor paper. They rip out like this. So these are the ones we've used in the library if you've come to a class before. So the thing with watercolor paper is you just want to get a pad. I mean, this is also on Amazon and it's only like $4. That other one is $7. And there's less sheets, but a little bigger. Also, this is 11 by 15. You just want to look for the weight. So I think I was joking with some of you at one point that if you can find a watercolor that weighs around like 100 pounds, 140 pounds, this one's about 90. So you want a good heavyweight paper. All right, and then there's like a bunch of different brands and all that. So then you will need your pencil, a Sharpie, and if you are painting with us, we need our cup of water and a brush. So whatever brush, if you want to just buy a watercolor set, there you go, that's fine. They usually come with a brush in the set. This one, again, I got on Amazon, and it came with like, I don't know, maybe 10 different brushes, and it wasn't much at all. I want to say a couple dollars for a set of like 5 of these. So this is like a nice medium one, but it has a squarish tip to it. So I like that one. You could also use a round brush, that's fine too. So this one, this is a Prang set. This one I like the best. You just need, oh, mine's a little dirty, but anyway, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, brown. I actually took out my black. And if you're on budget, you just want to, get a basic set. This is actually a decent set of watercolors. It's the Crayola set of all things, but it's only $2 at Target. So you can actually paint for really cheap and get yourself some paper, some watercolors. If you don't have that, but you have paper, or maybe you're doing this with your daughter or somebody who likes to paint with you, mom, whoever, I also recommend if you want to do this in colored pencils. Crayola actually makes some nice products for really good prices. So this is $3 for the 24 count at Target. So other than Amazon, I do recommend Target for some supplies. Oh, yay! And Lindsay has, yes, so that's the one, the bigger one. So this comes in a double set that has even more colors, and you can get that on Amazon. Yes, so this one I love if you like to do colored pencils, because this one has a ton of greens, blues, and browns, and this one would work just fine for this picture. Okay, so let's get started, and I will take you through this picture step by step, and you will end up hopefully with a watercolor that you're happy with. All right, so go ahead and you guys can draw in pencil. And then when we stop, you can erase whatever you want. I like to trace with Sharpie, particularly because it's permanent and the water doesn't ruin it. Okay, so I'm going to actually draw in Sharpie so you can see it. And so we're going to hold our picture today this way. I'm going to actually take the computer up to my wall so you can see it much better. So don't worry, we won't be that far away. All right, and you know what? Hang on one sec. I want a different Sharpie. I keep grabbing the one that's getting dried out. Okay, so normally when we are in class, let's see, I was going to say I do a little artist pledge with my kids. That's all about, I'm an artist and I can draw, and today I can draw a landscape. But we'll skip that part. So I have 3 cacti. I'm going to keep calling them cactuses. And they're going into the distance. We have our mountains here and some prickly pear cacti in the front. So what we're going to do first is we're going to draw the I'm just going to call them cactuses if you don't mind. All right, so we have the 3 cactuses, and there is something called perspective going on in this picture, which means what is up close is bigger, and as these cacti go into the distance, they're getting smaller and farther away. So what we want to do, and actually I'm going to do this with my pencil, is we're going to do 2 lines. Hang on one sec there. Okay, so on your paper, I would like you to do, let me just grab this for a second. So this is, here we go, this is your size paper, 9 by 12. I want you to make a very light slanting line that goes down like that. If you have a ruler nearby and you want to use that, you can do that. You're just going to make a slanting line this way and a slanting line this way. And I'm going to do that on my big paper. Okay, so I'm gonna actually draw it. I'll try to draw it a little darker. You guys see that? So see if you can make it kind of straight. I know like we're freehanding here, so. And then for those at home watching this video later, if you do have a ruler nearby, I would grab it. And just, we're gonna make 2 lines this way, one here, and then I'm gonna make one here. So perspective means, well, actually we could do a whole lesson on that. I'm gonna kind of just do a quick, explain it kind of quickly, other than the fact that our first cactus is gonna be bigger, then we're gonna do medium and small. There's something called a vanishing point, that if we actually drew these 2 lines to the point where they meet, that would be the vanishing point. So if I came all the way over onto this paper, let me come closer, there would actually be a point where they meet, and that would be our vanishing point. And that's, if you want to know more about perspective, I would definitely look up how to draw on YouTube, how to draw in perspective. And there will be a couple basic lessons on like railroad tracks and things like that. But okay, so we have this big V here, right? This way. When I look at the computer, it comes out funny. Yeah, and then you could always flip your paper over if you're not happy with your first drawing. The nice thing about that paper is it's really heavy and thick. You can use the back. Okay, so I actually am surprised that after drawing for over 30 years on my own and 18 years teaching, I've never drawn cacti. And I'm thinking to myself while I'm doing this lesson, wow, this is interesting. I can't believe I haven't drawn these before. So at first for some reason, they were a little weird and hard, but I think I've figured out a great way to do them. So, you know what, let me do it in pencil and then I'll trace in Sharpie. So what we're gonna do is this first cactus. First one's a cactus. Okay, so we're gonna make, and I'll keep going back and forth between this drawing and this one so you can see what I'm doing next, like we do usually in the classroom. So then we're gonna go up here. This is gonna be like, so basically I'm just sketching out, I'm gonna sketch out our 3 cactus. Like I said, I'm gonna, I can't get into the word cacti tonight. All right, so you have a line down here, one here, and we're going to turn these into actually looking like a cactus. And then you're going to make your long one in the middle and then curve up here with this other arm. So with these saguaro cactuses, they actually do grow arms. And like I said, I was amazed to see how old just one that would be, geez, 20 feet must be like 100 years old. Wow. Okay, so once you have that little sketch, you know what, why don't we do the same with the next one, and then we'll make them bigger and fill them out. So I'm going to make the same thing, like a little L shape, and you know what, here I'll come closer so you can see. And then, now, the point that what was the point of these slanted lines? These slanting lines are actually showing us how high up you want to go with your first cactus and how low you're going to go. And then, so you're going to stay within those 2 lines, the top line and the bottom line. And by having these guidelines, we're going to have the 3 cactus are actually going to look like they're getting smaller. You could actually even do a 4th one if you want to do a really small one and get the whole idea of perspective, which basically means that we're doing a picture that goes into the distance. So then I have this little arm on this one, the straight line, and then this other arm is lower actually. And if you are watching the video later and you want to look at, again, something like an image on Google, I would say this one's pretty close because we've got the cactus there, the 2 cactus to the right, some of the prickly pears, and then mountains. And again, I think I just Googled Arizona landscape, And I got also Arizona Landscape Painting will give you a whole bunch of Google images. Okay, so the third one is just 2 arms. And now remember, this one is our big, medium, and small. So you want to be drawing smaller now. And this one, I don't have one tall one. I just have the base. And then I'm going to curve up. And this one's going to be the taller one. I guess I could go to here. Again, like we just want to make sure that this first one is the tallest, then this one, and then this one. And we don't want these lines permanently, so actually, if you have, definitely need an eraser. I'm just making them dark so we can see them in the video here. And if you want another arm on that one, feel free to change up any of the different cactus there. All right, so then you know what I'm going to do here. Now we don't need this. We don't need these slanting lines anymore because we've got the cactus in our picture. So I'm just going to erase those and even lightly just get rid of them. Okay. Now, so that you can see my picture better, now I'm going to switch to the Sharpie. So if we basically only have curved lines here, what we want to do is we actually want to turn these into the arms of the cactus. Now, if you want to do this in your Sharpie, go ahead, or you can do it in your pencil. And then I found that these cactus seem to be a bit bumpy, so I'm making them a little bit bumpy on the edges. And remember to leave your space for your arm to come out and around. And then I'll do the same with the second one here. I'm going to go down and down, go up and around. And with the bottoms, we can kind of, when we color, we could sort of fudge these a little bit. I gave them kind of a little curved bottom. Okay, and the last one, oops, I forgot the arm here. And then this last one. So remember that this one is farther away, so actually you can make this one like fatter and a little bit skinnier, and then this one should be skinny because it's far away. This was another one I found online, and I took those 3 cacti, and pretty much that's what we have is big, medium, small. Okay, so now we have our cacti. Now we'll do the mountains, and then we'll add our foreground with some of these other cactuses. All right, so in the background, everybody, just take your pencil, and this is the bottom of our mountains. So I would say it's not halfway up, but it's probably maybe like a third of the way. And yours, here, let's take a look at this one. So yeah, maybe just a little below half. All right, so we're going to do that across our picture, and you're going to jump over your cactus here and go all the way across. And then, so we have these beautiful mountains in the distance, and I'm going to just start on the edge here over on this side. And they can be as big as you want them to. I mean, I showed you this one before. This one really has a lot of mountains. And you could do jagged peaks, or I'm just going to do like 3 mountains going up and down. Make this one a little bigger. So just bumpy line up, down, and then as you come down, jump over your cactus. And you don't have to go all the way down to the ground here. They can kind of disappear. And I'm going to go up here with one last big one. Again, so it's up to you, like how you want to do those. If you want your first one bigger, and then little, and then medium, or I'll show you this one again, just because I think it's such a pretty painting. So this one has the one big mountain on the left, going down to like a valley, and then a little mountain on the right. I like these. What are they? The prickly? Oh no, those are the barrel cactus. Now I learned my cactus. So those are cool. The ones on the bottom here, they're like rounded with the flowers. Okay, so in our foreground, so of course with pictures you've got foreground, middle ground, and background. So I have a couple of these prickly pears, and then some grasses, and just a few lines. So I'm going to make one of these. How about one of these prickly pear cactus? I'm going to make a little curve down here, and you can make these. You can make these big because they are in the front. Now I'm going to curve here. And then they have these little flowers on them, so I'm just going to make like 3 little curves on top. And let's do that again. And then I'm going to make another one over here. And 3 curves. And I guess if you wanted to make a third one somewhere in the distance, you could. And it would just be smaller. So then I've got some grasses back here. And so again, the farther away you go, the smaller it's going to be. And then as you come close, it's going to be bigger. Grasses. So I'm just going like a zigzag up and down. And maybe another one here. So it's up to you how many you want to do. I just kind of put a few in, what do I have, maybe 6 or 7. And then, so you can either do this with Sharpie or pencil. I'd say probably with these lines, I would leave these in pencil because you're going to paint over them. So this is just, that gives the idea of the ground, the desert here. I just have some little like zigzaggy lines. And if you want, you could even like do a few on your mountain. And there we go. That's our basic Arizona landscape with Saguaro Cactus. So I like to sign my name in the corner. And then, so if you're happy with your pencil drawing, go ahead and take your Sharpie and Sharpie your cactuses, cacti, your mountains, and definitely do the prickly pears. It's up to you if you want to do the grasses. And I would probably leave, like I said, leave those lines in pencil. And then I'll grab my watercolors, and then I'll take you through the watercolor drawing, painting part rather. So you can either follow me with the painting, or you can kind of tweak it, go off on your own, whatever you're feeling like doing. And you know what? I'm going to move these up so you can see it better. And I have one that, sort of a blank one that I'm going to do with you. So this one, you know what? You can't see it because it's in pencil. So let me trace this quickly while we have a minute. So let's go ahead and grab our watercolors and your brushes. And how's everybody doing? Anybody have questions? Everybody's good? All right. So I'm going to do this painting. Let's see. So what we'll start with is, let's move, you know what, I started with the mountains first and then did the, oh actually I did the cactus, then the mountains, then the foreground, and then we'll work on that sky last. So I'm going to do, so how about we'll start with our purple and blue. So let me grab one more set of watercolors. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and swirl your brush. So we want our brush wet. And why don't we start with some blue? So I have dark blue here. If you have a lighter blue, you can mix dark blue and light blue. So just pet your paints. And I'm going to go ahead and put blue on the mountain here. I'm trying to think, can you guys see it? You know what? I'll paint a little bit and then I'll bring it closer to you so you can see it better. So go ahead and paint like your middle mountain. And then as you're painting, you can also start to take some of your purple. And let me just put a little more blue here. So I'm putting blue on like the top of the mountain part here first, and then I'm going to move, and I'm going to mix it with some purple. So while it's wet, and then let me bring this over, or either bring the computer or the picture here. So okay, closer. Okay, so I'm putting purple right into the blue while it's wet, and this is actually a technique in watercolor called wet on wet. And as you can see, what happens is the two colors start to blend together. Now, there's another way to mix your watercolors, and that would be right in the lid. So you could actually take blue and just put it right in your lid here. See, hold it so you can see that. So take the blue and the purple, and you can actually mix it right in here and get a bluish purple if you want to do it that way. I actually like to do it like right on the paper, but this is just one more way to make another color. And so this would be blue and purple. You can see my color wheel. So blue and purple, which would make a bluish purple, or maybe an indigo. So keep going with your mountains. So I'm going to do a little more blue and keep it wet here, and then let these colors blend. Now to get this dark of a purple, I actually let the mountains dry, and I went back a second time and put another layer on of blue and purple. So at first, because these are watercolors, they're not as dark as acrylics. So they are going to be more translucent. My purple is really dark, so I just put that on. Oh, one other thing, if you have a paper towel nearby, keep that close, just in case your watercolors start to run into each other too much, or run out of your mountains. So we're just working these two colors in, and because my paper is up on the wall, it's going to trip. So here we go. So there we are, close up. I'm just doing these two colors together. And I'll just keep going on the, let me see here if I can paint a little closer. Paint right on my computer. All right, so now I'm going to do the rest of this mountain. Now again, if you have a watercolor set that has a lighter blue in it, it's actually called Cerulean Blue. And you could do that on your mountains and mix it with the purple also. It's just going to give it a different color. And it's if you can get it to run down the mountain, I think that looks pretty neat because it actually gives you that idea that it has the crevices in the mountain. You know that we know what they look like from a distance, but to make it look like that on paper is a little harder. I'm looking at one of those paintings I have up on the wall there, and this artist, again, I'll keep referencing this one, but I just really like the way this artist did the, I like the way he did these cacti, but I also like the way he did this mountain. So even if you feel like putting a tiny bit of orange into your blue, you could actually do that. Orange and blue are complementary colors, and they will actually make a brown when they mix. So just to look at that one close up, got this here. I just like the way that, so if you want to try this even with your purple, I like the way that we've got the blue going up and down, which we did. And then if you want to take purple and do these lines like this, you could try that. And then you can see over here, there's very light purple on that mountain. And then when you get to your prickly pear cactus down below, this is kind of cool. We could do some light green, and then you could try like yellow lines in it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to add some lines to my cactus. I forgot. And then they have these really pretty flowers on top, so we could do, you could try mixing red with a tiny bit of purple, which will give you, let me show you a little closer because that's far away, and this is not the best copy of this guy's painting, but just maybe, oh, actually, maybe even a red and orange for those flowers. I'm going to have to look up, I'm sorry, I don't know the artist that did this. I just printed it from Google, so unfortunately I didn't get to write down who did it. All right, so we have these mountains, and you know what? I'm going to do some purple on this last one because I feel like it's missing some color here. Now that blue is starting to dry, so you can see my purple is looking a lot different than it did over here. So I'm going to, I don't want it to look like that. It looks a little too much like I drew right on top of it. I'm going to put more water and see if I can get that to blend just a little more without. And then of course we got to watch this third cactus here. And try not to paint on that. There we go, that's a little better. So I want it to blend, not stick out so much here. So also we can move over to the cacti, our big saguaro. Let's go like that one. Oh, that's getting me tonight, these cactus words. So the cactus themselves are obviously a green, but it's up to you because this is sunset. So in the picture that I originally chose, which was that one, they are actually silhouetted. So they're actually almost black. So you can either do some greens on them. I would suggest if you want to make them green, I would do like a darkish green, so it looks more like it's nighttime. How do you make a dark green out of this? That would be a good question. I would probably do green and brown probably. But what I'm going to do is actually make them a gray. And there's a way to make a gray if you have this Prang set, this one that I'm using. If you have the Crayola set, just use the black really lightly. So that is this one. Just use the black in that one, because it won't make the gray like this will. So this one, we're going to mix actually blue and brown, and we're going to get a gray. Pretty cool. So blue plus brown. So again, you can either mix it on the paper or in your lid. And with this one, I actually would prefer to mix in the lid because I want to get both colors equal. Otherwise, they look like either blue or brown. So let me put this down for a sec. So I'm going to take some of my brown here. I'm going to put it in the lid. And then I'm going to rinse my brush. And I'm going to take some blue. And I'm getting like this really darkish, here we go, that's the color I want. You want to get a color that looks like a gray. Here we go, see that? That's the color I want. And I'm just going to do my cacti in that grayish color. Now this one looks kind of blue. That's okay. Maybe I'll put just a touch of brown in there. See if I can get a tiny bit more grayish. And out of curiosity, just because I mentioned it before, if you wanted to see how they look, I wonder, maybe on a separate piece of paper, like a copy paper, you could try mixing brown and green, which I'm going to try right now, just to see. Oh yeah, okay. So that would be another color you could use if you really wanted to do them more. Let's see if I can show you that color. You know what, I'm going to lose it. So I'll just paint my middle one with this. It's sort of like makes it look like an army green. Let me put a little on this one here. So that's the color I'm getting with brown and green. And I have a lot of water, so it's not very dark. I don't know if we can tell the difference there. Let me see if I could try it on the paper. Brown. green. Yeah, okay, maybe you could kind of see that color. At least you can see that's a little different than this one here, which is definitely a gray. So you know what I would do with these, with the 3 cacti here, is paint them, again, let them dry, and I would go over them again with either more gray, or you could even do the brown and green on top, see how it looks. That might give it a lot of depth with so much color on it. And our last one, I'm just going to stick with my gray I made, which again is brown plus blue. Brown plus blue. And I've got this gray here. Now, also, if your set comes with black, just be really careful with black. I find it to be a really strong color, and it can end up taking over your picture. This one still looks light. The other trick or tip I'm going to give everyone is when you're all done with the watercolors, I actually took colored pencils and did a little bit of colored pencils on the ground, on the cactus, and it just made it a little more. This one actually, I'll show it to you again real close. You can see, you might be able to see some of the lines I did on the bottom. And I put a little bit of greens on the little prickly pears and on the cacti, the big ones. So that's an option too, if you have some colored pencils at home, or if you wanted to pick up that the $3 set from Target. $3. Okay, so we have our mounds. We have some cactus here, and let's do the foreground, and then we'll work on the background. And if anyone needs to go, let me know. Otherwise, we'll keep going. And if you're watching the video, the nice thing is you'll be able to fast forward or rewind if you want to see something again, or if you want to go a little faster, and if I'm going too slow. So the ground, let's see, I'm going to do these little, I want to do the little cactus first. And before I do that, I'm going to put in, they have curves on them, so I'm just going to put a few curves in here. Like, how about three curves on each one here. These are pretty small. I have a lot of them. All right, so with those, I want to do those with green and yellow. So I usually start with yellow first because that color gets so dirty very easily. Also, if your water is getting dirty and you want to stop to change it, just because we've done a lot of blues and purples, I know my water is starting to get a little dark here. Again, you can mix right on your palette, or you can mix on your paper. I'm going to do some yellow, and then I'm going to put some green. Let's see. We have a dog painting with us tonight. Hello, dog. He's always funny. He comes up because he hears me talking. He's like, who are you talking to? So here I've mixed light green. Sometimes I feel like through the computer you can't see the vibrancy of the paint as much as in person, but at least you get the idea. And again, if you want to wait till it dries and go back and put more in, I would suggest that. Mine's dripping because I'm holding it upright. So yeah, let's see. I'm going to put a little more green. And, so one thing you could do is, instead of painting the entire thing just green, which is kind of boring, only paint half of it and then put So try your yellow on the other half and see what happens. Again, see if you can get kind of this wet on wet blending going on. And I'm going to drip. And I'll do this one over here, and then we can put in the little red dots, and then we'll work on the ground here, which we could use like light brown, dark brown, maybe a little yellow, even maybe some orange, like it's reflecting from the sky. So let's see, I'll put a little green again. And I'm going to just mix right on my paper here with this one, with the yellow. Now the nice thing about watercolor is if you do end up mixing a color that you don't like, it's actually very easy to remove, or it should be easy to remove watercolor, especially if you're using a thick paper. That's one thing why, another reason why I love thick paper. Just holds the watercolor well, and then if you do want to get rid of a color, just say you did your other cacti in more of a brown and you like that better than the gray, so you want to get rid of that, just swirl your brush in your water, wet that part of your picture, take your paper towel, dab it, and do that a couple of times, and it should actually pull the color up off of your paper, at least to the point where it gets lighter, and then you can put a new color on top. If I just did it and I didn't like it, like just say I want to get rid of this, it's like too green, I just put a lot of water here, pat it with your paper towel, and look at that, it's like gone. So it actually is forgiving. People say watercolor is hard. I think it's actually one of the easier paints. I think acrylics are hard, and oils, because you have the way you have to blend them. But I guess it's a matter of opinion. So, all right, so I've got these painted. Let's see, with all these little grasses, you know what, while we have our green and yellow, I'll just do a little touch here and there of little dabs of, I'll do yellow first, and then, and again, it's nice when you get something that you don't want, you just can wipe it away. And then maybe we could even do, actually we could even do some like brown on these, just maybe a tiny bit. I don't want them to look too dark though, because they're going to blend into our ground. I like the yellow. Maybe yellow and orange. Let's try yellow and orange. I love mixing. I don't know. I guess, yeah, there we go. We can see those. So I'm going to put a little yellow instead on. Let's do yellow with orange. Oh, yeah, there we go. I like that better. And I'll just leave some of them yellow. Okay. So, how we doing, everybody? You're good so far? We got some of that? All right, so for your ground, oh, nice, there you go. Yeah, cool. Very cool. Oh, yay. Yes, awesome. All right, so the ground then, so we don't want it to have really green in it or blue in it, which we wouldn't really do because it's the ground. But so how are we going to make it look interesting? What we want to do is we want to get your dark brown, if you have a medium brown, which is also called raw sienna or burnt sienna, and then the raw umber or burnt umber, or basically in your regular watercolor set, you could do a brown, and then we can mix brown and yellow for a tan, and then we'll put just a touch of orange in there. So I'm going to do the same thing as we've been doing. Just dip into my brown. And I'm just going to mix mostly on the paper. So that's pretty dark. And I want it to be just a little lighter. It can be, actually it can be dark right by the base of your mountains because that would be where you have a shadow. And then when I end up painting my ground, it's funny, I just realized that I do like a zigzag kind of a painting, like this. Instead of, I don't know, I guess instead of just painting like straight. Again, the brush I'm using is, it's flat with that rounded tip. There's actually about 5 different brushes that all have a different name to them. I could just tell you real quick a couple of them. These are actually not watercolor brushes, but just to give you a heads up on when you are picking brushes, which ones you might want to use for watercolors. So I like one that has a square tip. That's called a flat. The one I'm using that some of you might be using, I know you have, is it's the flat, but they've like almost shaved off the edges. That's called a filbert. Filbert with a T. So that's a flat and a filbert. And then you have your traditional, let's see, I don't have it in here. These are all flats or filberts. You get another one here. So these are watercolor brushes, these little ones. So these watercolor brushes tend to be short-handled. Acrylic brushes are long-handled, or oil paint or acrylic. So they're, hold on one second. Got some more brushes. I have quite a lot. So you've got your super tiny little brush that's probably still considered a round because it's rounded. Then they get a little bigger. So this is still a round brush. And then this is a round brush, and they just get bigger and bigger. Now, what I find with the round is that's probably great for the sky because you're going to fill a lot of space. They hold more water. I just happen to love, here's another one that I'm using. This is similar to the one I'm using. It's just smaller. So you can, again, different sizes and different shapes. So this is still a filbert. And this is just a smaller filbert. So again, just the size matters when you're filling in really small spaces. You want a smaller brush, and when you switch to doing your big sky, you could switch to a bigger brush. It's not big enough. And then here's an even really big round. This one, and they actually have the size on them. This is actually a 10. I don't know if everybody can see that. So that's a 10 round. So they actually go like from a 2, I think there's like, they go up all the way up from, this is a 7. So they're actually all sized if you want to know more about brushes. Again, I'm pretty sure there's a YouTube video on how to find the right size brush for your watercolor or painting project. Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, I just happen to like this this one, which is, it's flat, and it has, because I can actually draw lines with it. That's what I like about the filbert or this flat-headed brushes versus round. So so here we are doing our ground, and we're going back and forth, and I'm going to get some, other than brown, like I said before, let's have some tan in there. So I'm going to take a yellow, and I want to mix it with brown. Now, you know what? Let me do that on up here. Actually, let's just do a little more brown by the base. And again, if you have a watercolor set that has more browns in it, you could be doing the darkest one here, which would be the burnt or raw umber. And then bring it down, and I would make it lighter as you go down because it's coming closer to us, and that's going to be farther away in shadow. So I'm going to do just a little more here. Now, obviously, the more water you add, the lighter it's going to get. And let's go ahead and then we'll try, how about some orange and yellow? And I'm going to have, I want them to blend together like this. So again, wet on wet. You get your orange in there. Now you could do the same thing in your lid and mix the orange with the brown and just use that color straight up on your paper. If you, again, have another watercolor set with the tubes, those should have raw sienna, and you can just take raw sienna and mix it right in here. So it's like in our middle section here. That can be like your medium brown. And I'm just gonna do like some orange here. Now we want them to blend, but not so much so, again, that it's just like green cactus, brown, brown ground and blue mountains. You want to get the blending going on where you see little splotches of a little bit of orange, a little bit of brown, a little bit of yellow. Let's see if we can get some yellow in here. And the yellow and brown, when mixed, they should make a tan. And you could even get maybe a little yellow in your orange and see how that looks. And then I'm just going to go across the bottom now. And you can leave little white spaces if you would like to. That's one thing with watercolor, it makes it kind of interesting if you have just a little bit of open space. And so that's the orange and yellow mixing. Oh yeah, here we go. That's a nice like tan color. And that was yellow and brown, I believe. Well, there's that, yeah. Yeah, yellow and brown. Try that over here. Do a little yellow and brown. So I think that's looking pretty good because I want this section to be dark, but I want it to be light up on the edge up front. And did anybody have questions? Are we doing okay? Doing okay. Remember, if you haven't really done a lot of watercolor painting, give yourself time. It's like anything, it does take time to learn how to blend. Maybe that's why people say it's difficult to get all this blending going on. Okay, so then once you have the ground in, for the most part, like you don't have to get it all the way. Like I said, with all of this, you can go back in later once it dries. In fact, let me see if I could get a little bit darker, maybe on the mountains. So now this is totally dry here. So what I could do is just maybe like outline the top without losing, but I don't want to lose like how it blended there and made it look like the crevices of the mountain. So maybe I'll just go along here with some blue, jump over, maybe even jump over some sections so I don't even, maybe I don't want to repaint that part. And then maybe same here, like this side has a little darker, just maybe up at the top of it. Oops. And I went into the sky, but again, that's okay because I can fix that. And the other trick you could do is actually dip your, this is not a very good paper towel today, but you can dip your paper towel tissue and there we go. Should wipe right off. So I see this part right here looks like it's a little too light, so I'm going to I'll put a little more purple in there. And remember, so our mountains have that V shape to them, so I'm trying to keep the feel of them with the slant, painting on the slant. So it actually looks like they are slanting down. So you can see that it does take a little longer than an hour. So obviously, you know, if you want, you can keep working on it if you have the time, or you could always come back to it. If you do decide to come back, I would say definitely get a couple sections done and then come back and finish, you know, maybe the sky later, or if you wanted to add again more details to your ground, but try to finish a good portion of it, and definitely sections of it, because sometimes you'll think, oh, I'll make that color again, and then you won't be able to. And you're like, darn, I can't figure out how to get that color. So, okay, you know what? I have one little corner here. I just want to get this, and then let's move to the sky. And that's really dark compared to the rest of my picture. So I need water, and I'm going to do some yellow. And I'm going to dab that because it's just too dark. Okay. And a little yellow. Oh, one other thing, if you notice your yellow, so if you're using like a set like this, and your yellow is just getting yucky, you can actually dip your paper towel right into your little yellow hole, yellow pot, and just wipe it out if it's getting yucky. And remember too that with your water, actually, I'm going to quickly change my water because it is a very yucky brown, and we do want to do a nice clean yellow, orange, red sky. So give me 1 second and I will be back with fresh water. Okay, fresh water. Let's see, so we are getting close to about an hour so far of our lesson. Let's see, so I'll do a little more on the sky, and then Okaria, would you like to end our meeting maybe in another 5 or 10 minutes?
That sounds good.
Okay, great.
All right. You let me know when the recording's done, okay? You'll say, and that completes our class, and then I'll end the recording.
Okay.
Perfect.
Nice, Lindsay. Ooh, like it. You got the nice blending there of the ground. You know what you could do? Maybe wait till it dries a little more, and then maybe add a little more to the top of the mountains. I'm trying to think, like just maybe like a little more on top, since like we did the one layer, and then we're just trying to get it a little darker. Oh, cool. Nice brown, yeah. So Dorothy, what I would do, So I like your browns in the ground there. Now, you know what? See if you can take that, the sienna, and I would put a little touch of that in the middle. So just make little lines of that reddish brown in there. And then in the front, you could even like maybe go, let me see yours one more time. Oh yeah, okay, you know what, in that one corner, so you've got like orange, sort of on this side, I would, yeah, do the same over here, do the orange and yellow, like I'm trying to see, yeah, in here, just like make a little more orange and yellow in there. So let's do, I'm going to move on to the sky, so everybody, you can, whatever part you're up to, keep working. And I'll just do like a quick, like, few minutes on the sky to give everybody an idea, and then you can keep going on your own. So I started doing it with a yellow, just going back and forth like this. And again, you're just going to keep mixing colors here. So I got like these stripes going on in the sky here. And then for those of you watching the video, I definitely suggest if you're on your laptop, if you have your smartphone nearby, to just Google the Arizona landscapes and find one that you like, and that way you can, let's see, Arizona landscapes. So you want to Google it and then hit images, and you should find, oh, like this one. I was looking at that one at one point. So yeah, so there's just a lot of ideas, and so you can take a look at yours, and then let's see if there's one I was looking at. This one's actually really pretty. Something maybe that you want to copy this. Let's see if we can get this bigger. So again, like something that you just want to copy the sunset. There's just a ton of them on here. Here that one is again, for those people watching with the video. So again, we've got these cactus in the front, we've got the mountains in the background. So just a lot of ideas to keep you going, and just colors to choose from. So again, Arizona landscape or Arizona landscape painting will give you a lot of paintings. And so you just click images, and that'll give you, again, a ton of ideas. So to finish this up, let me just do, so we've got our yellow, and so I actually kept the yellow to the left of my painting, and then as I'm going to the right, I want it to look like it's getting darker because the sunset is over here. So I did yellow, and then I'm going to do a little orange. And again, so just like basically just streaking the sky. But I don't want it to look too streaky, so I'm going to add more water like we did with our mountains. So it might take you a little bit to get the sky right. It definitely took me a little while with that painting up on the board here, this one, to get that. Oh, you know what? I'm going in the opposite direction. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, I went that way. That's all right. All right, so then, and again, if it's too dark, add more water. And you can always take your paper towel and dab. I'm dripping tonight. It's a little hard to paint. I don't recommend painting up and down like this. Definitely paint on a flat surface. Maybe put a newspaper underneath so you can go off the paper. Okay, so you get the idea. So it's starting to blend, and then I don't want it there. So I'll have to fix that in a little bit where it went through my mouth. And then, so I actually took red, because red and yellow make orange, so you can actually do the red right on the yellow and then that will blend. So that's almost like a pink. And let's see, then I wanted it a little darker, so I want to actually have some real red in here if I can. There we go. We are dripping tonight. So you get the idea. So you just want to keep going, and then over here, maybe we've got more orange. And again, so the wetter you have it, the more they're going to blend. If you do want them streaky, then you can actually make those lines and not paint over them. And the other trick is going to be to get in between our cactus here. So what I did, so maybe this is a good one to actually mix the color in your lid, where you could do like, say, a orange and yellow right in the lid, and that would make oh my goodness, dripping sky tonight. Everything else was okay, but my sky just wants to run. Okay, so I think that gives you a really good idea of how you can work this sunset. Yeah, and so then I would just keep going, and like I said, if you have a chance. Oh yeah, there you go. Nice, Dorothy. Cool. And actually, you could leave yours yellow. We could just, that you don't have to add a whole bunch of colors, because you already have we already have a lot going on with our mountains and our foreground. In fact, this was one that I got off the internet. I believe it's just from a paint night, and that sky is basically just yellow with blue, because there's more detail in the foreground there of all these little like brownish, greenish bushes, and so that's an idea. But definitely, you know what, if you get a chance, go back to it tomorrow once it dries, and maybe just add, I would probably leave the sky alone. Ooh, cool, there you go, Lindsay, that's what I'm thinking. Now I can see like those mountain tops. I would do the same tomorrow. Love those cactus on yours, Dorothy. Great color. So Lindsay, with yours, what I would do is go back in, because we really just put in the first layer. So on your cactus, even like in like half an hour, or even now it might be dry, I would make them a little darker. Or do you have a colored pencil? Do you have like a brown or black colored pencil by chance? Oh, I guess that was our, oh yeah, that was our hour and a half. Oh, hey, there you are. I don't know where I went.
My cactus is the same color. They got really dark in the foreground. I don't know why.
Oh, what's the same? Oh, the cactus is the same color.
as the ground. That's what I
Oh, okay. So you know what I would do?
agree.
Yeah, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and make them more like this one, where they're actually like a silhouette. So how about darker? So you could actually take your black, take a little tiny bit of your black watercolor and water it down to like a gray and go over and just go over those. Just be super careful with black because the minute you put it on, if you get, especially with those tubes, if you get a lot, it's going to be really strong and dark.
Brown is strong. That's why.
Yes, that dark brown can be very strong. I find with this set, it's not as dark as the tube. So anybody at home that's, if you love watercolors and you're using um, the tubes, I do love them. They're just, in fact, they come with a lot of different colors in them. And I think for the most part, you know what? So why don't I think we can finish our recording, everybody, so we can still stay in our meeting, but
All
Okaria,
right.
can you close us out?
Definitely. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.